Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing great, and today I have a recipe for you, and it is the pumpkin pie recipe. So I'm excited to show you this recipe because it's one of my favorite recipes from this upcoming season, which is the season that I love the most. It's autumn winter, and I start with pumpkin pie always at this time of the year. I think this recipe is easy, but you need to work either super early or a day before to make some of the ingredients ahead before we start like assembling the filling of the pie. Okay, this recipe that I'm going to show you will be from scratch, which means we are making the pumpkin puree. And I will make the pumpkin puree because I haven't found any around. I don't know if I'm not good at looking for ingredients, honestly, or it's just they don't exist in the Netherlands. But even if we don't have the pumpkin puree canned, we are making our own puree, okay? I do normally use red curry squash, but they didn't have this time of the year. But I think it will work well. I already make some research about it, and I think it will be fine. So pumpkin puree is quite easy, and you will see that in a moment. Right now we are going to work in two of the base ingredients or base parts of the pumpkin pie, which will be the pumpkin puree and the pie crust. So we're going to start with the pumpkin puree first, and then we are going to move to the pie crust, okay? So we are going to cut the pumpkin and take out the seeds. So that will be our first step. Let's make the pumpkin puree first.
I just realized that I didn't tell you the name of the pumpkin that I'm using, and it's a kabocha squash. This one was seedless. I didn't know that when I picked it up. You will need parchment paper and your oven tray. Place the pumpkins like this. Take them to your oven at 180 Celsius for an hour. To check if they are ready, just poke them, and if they are soft, they are ready.
Our pumpkins are ready now. They were cooled down for a little bit, and they look like if they collapse, but that's fine, don't worry about it. Now I will use a food processor. You can use a blender, you can use a hand blender, as you wish. Everything that we are taking out of here, you can use it just like that and smash it. That's perfect if you want some chunks here and there in your pumpkin pie. But I will use a food processor just to have a smoother texture because I like it in that way. So let's do that part. Finish with the start of the pumpkin pie. We have our pumpkin puree, and we will set aside this for a while, and we are going to work in our pie crust now, okay? The ingredients for the pie crust are very simple, and you can use either your hands to make it or a food processor to mix just the ingredients.
You need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, a quarter cup of granulated sugar, a quarter teaspoon of salt. Give it a mix and then add 1 cup of really cold unsalted butter. Cut the butter in cubes, that will make it easy to mix. Don't over mix it, check your mixture, it will look like lentil-sized particles. And then add 5 tablespoons of really cold water. The water has to be with ice. You will need to take out the mixture and start kneading the dough until you form a ball with your hands. You will need a plastic film to wrap this dough, and then take it to the fridge to chill out at least for half an hour, and after that time it will be ready to use.
is cold now. Remember that the minimum time that you will put this into the fridge will be 30 minutes, okay? So it's been sitting there for a while. It's super cold. Now I have to roll this and put it into our oven tray.
You will need to put some flour on your work surface. That will prevent that your dough doesn't stick on your surface. I never measure the thickness of my pie crusts. I just stop when the oven tray fits like this, so I know it will be enough for the pie. So that's how I do it. I do not normally measure the thickness. Rolling the pastry will help you to move your pastry easily onto your oven tray. Make it fit. Don't push the pastry into the oven tray. Pull the edges a little bit and then you will fit the pastry into the tray. After fitting your pastry, you will roll the edges like this. And then you will use your knuckles to pinch the edges of the pastry.
Okay, we are going to blind bake this pie crust. If we don't pre-bake this or blind bake this crust, it will get a bubble in the middle or bubbles. So we need pastry weights or some beans. If you have beans at home, you can use them. You will need a parchment paper and aluminum foil. Take parchment paper and fold it. This will be your reference. This is the center, this part from here. So fold it, fold it, fold it. Okay. Until you end up to something like this, and just imagine where is the center of the pie crust. Take the scissors, cut it out. See? Making a kind of a tray for the weights to place them inside of the parchment paper. Now I will place them inside of the pastry. You will end up with something like this, either with the pastry weights or beans. Now we're going to place this in our freezer, and it has to chill out for a little bit, and then we're going to bake.
Bake it at 220 for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, you will take the pastry out of the oven, and then you will remove the weights and the parchment paper. Use a fork to poke the bottom of the pastry. That will help the steam to get out. Make a ring out of foil and then cover the edges of your pie because you are making a second bake, so this will prevent the edges to get burned. Bake again at 190 degrees Celsius for around 12 and 20 minutes.
Look at this. Now we have our pie crust, and now it's time for us to make the pumpkin mixture.
1 cup of granulated sugar. I use the brown sugar because I think it adds more flavors than the white one, but you can use whichever you prefer. You need 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1.5 teaspoon of ginger powder, half teaspoon of cloves in powder, 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Mix it well and reserve. For the wet ingredients, you will need 3 eggs at room temperature, 15 ounces of pumpkin puree, mix them, and then you will add the mixture of spices and sugar that we did before. And last but not least, 1 cup of evaporated milk. Mix it well and you will have your pumpkin pie filling.
Okay, now we have the pumpkin mixture and we have our pie crust, and it's time to assemble all of these together. But before we assemble, we need to make a egg wash for the edges of the pie crust so they can turn golden brown and beautiful. For the egg wash, we need 1 egg with a little bit of milk or water or cream that whatever you prefer. Now let's take a brush and let's put some egg wash on the edges of the pie crust. Now the edges are covered with the egg wash and it's time for the filling. I promise you that we're almost done, guys. My oven is preheated now. We're going to bake this for 15 minutes first. We are going to bake it at 220, 15 minutes. Leave the pie in there, you don't need to take it out. And then you will bake it for another 40 minutes. But this time you will lower the temperature at 190, okay? 220, 15 minutes, 190, 40 minutes. That's it. Let's take this to the oven and see you in a moment. We took a pie out of the oven, we let it rest for a little bit, and now it's ready to try it out. Look how beautiful it turns out. It is golden brown, it is perfect, and it smells really good. So I can't wait, I need to try it out. Now let's try the pie. It's delicious. Not because I bake it, but the flavors are just amazing. Something that we normally do in Mexico with pumpkins is something called conserva. That's the name in Spanish that we have for that dish, which is a crystallization of the pumpkin with some syrups. And the syrup has cloves, I guess, and cinnamon. I don't remember the recipe well, but my mom loves to make this. This flavor takes me back a little bit to that recipe. I want to relate to autumn through a flavor. I think this pie will take you there, 100%. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. Please subscribe. It's just for free. Just click somewhere. I just don't know where yet. But just click there and subscribe and turn on the bell because next week we have a surprise video for you. I hope you like it. Have a nice week, everyone, and see you in the next video. Bye!
Baby, let me lay here a while until